Chosen one. There's a frequency that radiates from your being that most people can't handle. Science calls it presence. I call it divine authenticity. Right now, as you're listening to this, someone somewhere is feeling uncomfortable because they thought about you. They can't explain why your name just popped into their head. They can't understand why they feel exposed when you're around. The universe placed a mirror in your soul, and every person you encounter sees their reflection whether they want to or not. This isn't coincidence. This is your calling. You're about to discover why your very existence disturbs the fake and awakens the real. You've felt it since childhood. That strange sensation when you walk into a room and conversations shift, people straighten their posture, fake smiles replace genuine expressions. The energy changes because you carry something they recognize but can't name. Truth. It radiates from you like heat from a flame, and they instinctively know they can't maintain their masks around you. Your teachers noticed it first. While other kids played games and told white lies, you asked the questions that made adults squirm. Why do grown-ups say things they don't mean? Why does everyone pretend to be happy when they're not? They called you precocious. They meant threatening. Even as a child, you had the audacity to see through their carefully constructed worlds. Family gatherings became tension-filled events. Your relatives would gather, putting on their annual performance of fake harmony. But you were there, watching, sensing, knowing. You didn't even have to say anything. Your presence alone was enough to make the pretenders uncomfortable. School was no different. Other kids formed cliques based on shared illusions. Designer clothes mattered more than character. Popularity trumped authenticity. But you couldn't play along. Something inside you rebelled against the superficiality. You'd rather sit alone than participate in conversations that meant nothing. This wasn't antisocial behavior. This was your soul protecting its frequency from contamination. Your intensity became your identifier. While others learned to dim their light to fit in, yours burned brighter. Teachers either loved you or found you challenging. There was no middle ground. You asked questions that disrupted lesson plans. You pointed out contradictions in textbooks. You refused to accept "because I said so" as a valid answer. Your mind demanded truth, and your heart couldn't settle for less. As you grew older, the pattern became undeniable. Relationships followed the same script. People were drawn to you like moths to a flame, mesmerized by your authenticity. They'd never met anyone so real, so unfiltered, so courageously themselves. The initial attraction was intoxicating. They wanted what you had, but then reality set in. Your honesty wasn't just refreshing in small doses, it was your default mode. When they asked for your opinion, you gave it. When they shared their problems, you offered real solutions instead of empty sympathy. When they made excuses for their poor choices, you gently but firmly held up that mirror again. They loved your authenticity until they realized it was non-negotiable. The breakup speeches became predictable. You're too intense. You're too honest. Can't you just let things slide sometimes? They wanted the edited version of you. The one who would validate their delusions, the one who would enable their comfort zones. But that person doesn't exist. You can't turn off your truth like a light switch. It's not a mood or a phase, it's your essence. Work environments revealed the same dynamics. While colleagues gossiped and played political games, you focused on actual results. While they formed alliances based on mutual benefit, you built relationships on mutual respect. While they said what people wanted to hear, you said what needed to be said. This made you valuable but also dangerous. Management appreciated your directness until it pointed in their direction. You noticed how meetings changed when you joined them. The comfortable lies everyone had agreed to pretend were truths suddenly felt flimsy. Your questions exposed weak strategies. Your observations revealed hidden agendas. You weren't trying to be disruptive. You were simply being yourself, but your authentic presence disrupted their inauthentic systems. The isolation wasn't punishment, it was preparation. While others built their identities on external validation, you were forced to find your worth from within. While they needed crowds to feel significant, you learned to be comfortable in solitude. While they feared being alone with their thoughts, you discovered that silence was where your greatest insights lived. This loneliness carved out space in your soul for something more important than popularity. It created room for deep thinking, genuine feeling, and authentic connection with your higher self. The people who left weren't meant to stay. They were clearing the path for those who would truly see you. Quality was replacing quantity. Depth was replacing breadth. Your Friday nights looked different from your peers. While they gathered in groups to distract themselves from their emptiness, you sat with books that challenged your mind. While they consumed entertainment that numbed their souls, you engaged with art that stirred your spirit. While they feared missing out on social events, you were discovering that the most important conversations happened between you and your inner voice. The solitude taught you self-reliance. When everyone else was seeking approval from others, you learned to trust your own judgment. When they needed constant reassurance, you developed unshakable confidence in your perceptions. When they crumbled under criticism, you stood firm in your truth. The very experiences that were meant to break you actually built you into someone unbreakable. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it. You began to understand that loneliness wasn't the absence of people, it was the absence of authentic connection. You'd rather have meaningful conversations with one genuine person than shallow interactions with 100 fake ones. You'd rather sit alone with your truth than surround yourself with lies. This wasn't antisocial behavior, this was spiritual discernment. Then you noticed something interesting. While some people ran from your authenticity, others tried to steal it. They couldn't approach you directly because your presence made them feel too exposed. But they watched from the shadows, taking notes, trying to decode your confidence. They studied your words, your style, your energy, hoping to replicate it without doing the internal work. Social media revealed their game. They never liked your posts or engaged directly, but they were always among the first to view your stories. They'd adopt your phrases, mimic your perspectives, even copy your aesthetic choices. But it was like watching someone wear a costume of your personality. It looked similar on the surface, but lacked the authentic power underneath. These imitators thought they could capture your essence by copying your external behaviors. They believed confidence was a performance they could master. They assumed authenticity was a style they could adopt. But what they failed to understand was that real power comes from real work. Your authenticity wasn't learned from a manual. It was forged in the fire of choosing truth over comfort, repeatedly, courageously, consistently. You could spot them easily. Their borrowed confidence crumbled under pressure. Their rehearsed authenticity felt hollow in real conversations. Their copied wisdom sounded like memorized scripts instead of lived experience. They were performing a role you were born to play. They were imitating a frequency they couldn't naturally generate. Pride danced, this imitation was actually a compliment, though they'd never admit it. In a world full of original people, they chose to copy you. Your influence was so powerful that people who claimed not to like you couldn't help but want to be like you. Your authenticity was so magnetic that even those who rejected it directly still tried to possess it indirectly. Your presence doesn't just reveal truth, it catalyzes transformation. When fake people encounter your authenticity, they're forced to make a choice. They can either rise to meet your frequency or retreat to protect their illusions. Most choose retreat, but some choose growth. These are the souls you're here to awaken. You've watched it happen countless times. Someone enters your orbit carrying years of pretense and pain. Your authentic way of being creates a safe space for their truth to emerge. Slowly, courageously, they begin to remove their masks. They start speaking honestly. They stop apologizing for their opinions. They begin to value substance over surface. Your authenticity gave them permission to be authentic too. This is your true power, not just being real yourself, but creating an environment where others feel safe to be real too. Your refusal to accept fake behavior establishes a new standard. Your commitment to truth creates a culture where truth can thrive. Your authentic presence becomes a healing space for wounded souls who've forgotten their own authenticity. The people who stay in your life after your truth-telling aren't just survivors, they're graduates of your unofficial school of authenticity. They've learned to value honest feedback over false flattery. They've discovered that uncomfortable truths lead to genuine growth. They've realized that your intensity isn't meant to hurt them, but to help them become who they're truly meant to be. You're not just living authentically, you're teaching others that authenticity is possible. In a world that profits from insecurity and thrives on pretense, your very existence is revolutionary. You're proof that people can live differently. You're evidence that truth is more powerful than lies. You're a living testament that authenticity attracts the right people while repelling the wrong ones. Tom Podenki, this isn't accidental. Your authenticity isn't a personality quirk or a character flaw. It's a divine assignment. The universe needed someone who couldn't be bought, bent, or broken by social pressure, someone who would speak truth regardless of consequences, someone who would shine light in dark places, even when that light made others uncomfortable. That someone is you. Your role as a chosen one isn't just about personal authenticity, it's about cosmic correction. In a world where lies have become comfortable and truth has become threatening, you're here to restore balance. Your presence reminds people of what they've forgotten. Your authenticity awakens what they've suppressed. Your truth-telling challenges what they've accepted. This is why your energy feels so intense to others. You're not just being yourself, you're carrying a frequency that reality itself resonates with. When people encounter you, they're not just meeting another person, they're confronting ultimate truth. Their discomfort isn't about you personally, it's about the divine mandate you carry. The fake people in your life were never meant to stay. They were placed there to strengthen your discernment, to teach you the difference between those who appreciate authenticity and those who merely tolerate it. Their rejection wasn't punishment, it was protection. It was the universe removing obstacles from your path and distractions from your purpose. Your loneliness wasn't random suffering, it was sacred preparation. While others were building lives on sandy foundations of people-pleasing and pretense, you were developing the solid rock of self-knowing and truth-telling. While they were learning to be liked, you were learning to be real. While they were seeking approval, you were seeking alignment with your higher purpose. Tom Podenki, your gift for seeing through facades isn't always welcome, but it's always necessary. When everyone agrees that the emperor is beautifully dressed, someone has to point out his nakedness. When the crowd is celebrating a lie, someone has to speak the truth. When society is sleepwalking through delusion, someone has to sound the alarm. That someone has always been you. Family dinners become teaching moments, whether you intend them or not. Your relative makes a comment rooted in outdated thinking, and everyone nervously laughs along. Everyone except you. Your silence speaks volumes. Your refusal to participate in the charade creates tension. They want you to just go along to keep the peace, but peace built on lies isn't real peace. It's just postponed conflict. When you finally speak, your words cut through the comfortable delusions like a sword through silk. You don't raise your voice, you don't attack anyone personally, you simply state what everyone knows but no one wants to acknowledge. The room grows quiet because you've just revealed the emperor's nakedness. You've just shown them that their comfortable lies are, indeed, lies. Work meetings follow the same pattern. Everyone pretends the failing strategy is working. Everyone nods along with the unrealistic timeline. Everyone agrees that the toxic culture is just challenging. Then you speak, not with anger or arrogance, but with clarity. You point out the obvious problems everyone else is pretending not to see. You ask the questions everyone else is afraid to ask. The silence that follows isn't hostility, it's recognition. Deep down, they know you're right. They've known all along, but acknowledging your truth means accepting responsibility for the changes that need to happen. It means admitting they've been choosing comfort over courage, lies over growth. Your authenticity forces them to confront choices they've been avoiding. Yes, your authenticity has cost you relationships. Yes, your truth-telling has created distance. Yes, your refusal to play along has led to loneliness. But what has it gained you? Everything worth having: self-respect, genuine connections, peace of mind, spiritual alignment, personal power that can't be taken away because it doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. The financial cost was real too. You've lost job opportunities because you wouldn't kiss ass or play politics. You've been passed over for promotions because your honesty made insecure managers uncomfortable. You've watched less qualified but more compliant people advance while you remained true to your principles. In the short term, authenticity sometimes costs money. In the long term, it pays dividends that compound. The social cost was equally apparent. You weren't invited to certain events because your presence would disrupt the comfortable dysfunction everyone else wanted to maintain. You weren't included in group chats where people bonded over shared complaints and victim narratives. You weren't welcome at gatherings where the entertainment consisted of gossiping about absent friends. These exclusions stung initially, but they protected your energy from contamination. The emotional cost was perhaps the heaviest. Watching relationships end because people couldn't handle your truth created genuine grief. Seeing family members choose comfortable lies over uncomfortable growth was heartbreaking. Realizing that some people preferred their illusions to your reality felt like a betrayal of everything you believed about human potential. But this pain refined your understanding of love. Real love doesn't enable dysfunction. Real love challenges people to become their best selves. But consider what you've gained in exchange for these losses. Your relationships are built on solid foundations of mutual respect and genuine compatibility. Your career, though perhaps slower to develop, is aligned with your values and utilizes your authentic strengths. Your self-concept is unshakable because it's based on your own assessment rather than others' opinions. Your peace of mind comes from knowing you've never betrayed yourself for temporary comfort. The relationships that couldn't survive your truth weren't real relationships. They were contracts based on mutual deception. You agreed to pretend, and they agreed to pretend, and together you built something that looked like connection but felt hollow inside. When you stopped pretending, the contracts became null and void. This wasn't loss. This was liberation from relationships that were costing you more energy than they provided. The people who remain in your life after experiencing your full authenticity aren't there by accident. They're there because they value what you bring. They appreciate your honesty even when it stings. They trust your judgment even when it challenges theirs. They love you not despite your intensity, but because of it. These relationships are worth more than 100 superficial connections. Your authenticity has also attracted opportunities that wouldn't have come to someone playing small. People who value truth seek out truth-tellers. Organizations that want real change hire people who aren't afraid to speak honestly. Situations that require courage attract courageous people. Your refusal to dim your light has actually made you more visible to the right people. The material gains might not be immediately obvious, but they're substantial. You sleep well at night because your conscience is clear. You don't waste mental energy trying to remember which lies you told to whom. You don't exhaust yourself maintaining false personas for different audiences. You don't stress about being discovered because you have nothing to hide. This peace of mind is priceless. Your authentic life has also opened doors to experiences that fake people never access. Deep conversations that change your perspective. Genuine intimacy that heals old wounds. Meaningful work that feeds your soul. Adventures with people who appreciate your real self. Creative expression that flows from your authentic core. These experiences are only available to those brave enough to be real. The price of authenticity is the approval of inauthentic people. The prize is the respect of authentic ones. The price is comfortable lies. The prize is uncomfortable truths that lead to real growth. The price is fitting in everywhere. The prize is belonging exactly where you're supposed to be. You've made the right choice every time you've chosen truth over comfort. Your presence alone changes the energy of any space you enter. This isn't imagination. This isn't ego. This is observable reality. Conversations shift when you arrive. People adjust their behavior. The fake becomes more fake because it's trying to hide. The real becomes more real because it feels safe to emerge. You're like a tuning fork for authenticity, causing everything around you to resonate with truth. In the office elevator, casual gossip dies when you step in, not because you've said anything, but because your energy demands a higher standard of communication. Your presence reminds them that words have power, that casual cruelty isn't casual, that thoughtless speech reveals thoughtless hearts. They don't consciously think these thoughts, but they feel the shift in frequency. At social gatherings, superficial conversations struggle to survive your participation. When someone asks how you're doing, they quickly realize you're actually going to tell them. When they share their problems, they discover you're going to offer real solutions instead of empty sympathy. When they try to engage in meaningless small talk, they find themselves drawn into meaningful discussions instead. This power isn't something you turn on and off. It's not a performance or a technique. It's the natural result of living in alignment with your truth. When someone has done the internal work to know themselves deeply, accept themselves completely, and express themselves authentically, they become a catalyst for the same process in others. You're not trying to change people. Your authenticity just makes their inauthenticity feel uncomfortable. Some people will appreciate this gift you bring to their lives. Others will resent it. The appreciation comes from those who were ready to grow. The resentment comes from those who were committed to staying small. Neither reaction is your responsibility. Your responsibility is to keep being authentic regardless of how others respond. Your influence extends far beyond your immediate interactions. The person you inspired to speak their truth goes home and has an honest conversation with their spouse for the first time in years. The colleague you encouraged to set boundaries finally says no to unreasonable demands. The friend you supported through their authenticity crisis discovers they're stronger than they thought. Your authenticity creates ripples of authenticity that reach people you'll never meet. The transformation process isn't always immediate. Sometimes your words plant seeds that don't sprout for months. That person who argued with you about accepting mediocrity slowly realizes they deserve better. The friend who accused you of being too demanding starts demanding more from their own life. The family member who called you difficult begins appreciating how easy it is to trust someone who always tells the truth. Social media amplifies this ripple effect exponentially. Your authentic posts inspire strangers to share their own truths. Your refusal to participate in fake positivity gives others permission to be real about their struggles. Your honest reflections on life create comment threads where people finally admit what they're really going through. One authentic post can trigger dozens of authentic responses, creating a wave of truth in an ocean of pretense. This is how change happens in the world, not through mass movements or grand gestures, but through individuals like you who refuse to compromise their truth. Each person you inspire to be more authentic inspires others. Each fake relationship you refuse to maintain creates space for a real one. Each uncomfortable truth you speak plants a seed of courage in someone else's heart. The people who initially rejected your authenticity sometimes circle back months or years later. They've tried to forget the truths you spoke, but those truths kept echoing in their minds. They've attempted to return to their comfortable lies, but those lies no longer feel comfortable. Something you said or did or simply were planted a seed that eventually grew into their own awakening. You may never know the full extent of your impact. The teenager who overheard you refuse to participate in gossip learned that kindness is stronger than cruelty. The co-worker who watched you stand up for what's right discovered their own backbone. The friend who witnessed your commitment to growth found their own courage to change. Your authenticity gives others permission to be authentic too. This ripple effect is part of your divine assignment. You're not just here to be authentic for yourself. You're here to demonstrate that authenticity is possible, beneficial, and necessary. You're a living example that people can live differently. You're proof that truth is more powerful than lies, that genuine connection is more satisfying than superficial interaction, that being real is better than being liked. What started as natural authenticity has evolved into conscious purpose. You're no longer accidentally disturbing fake people. You're intentionally creating spaces where truth can thrive. You're not randomly speaking honestly. You're strategically using your voice to challenge systems that profit from pretense. Your authenticity has matured from personal trait to cosmic tool. The loneliness that once felt like punishment now feels like preparation. Those quiet nights when you sat alone with your thoughts were actually training sessions for your soul. You were learning to be comfortable with truth, even when it was uncomfortable. You were developing the strength to stand alone so you could eventually stand for something important. The dating landscape became another arena for your evolution. While others crafted perfect online profiles full of carefully curated lies, you wrote honest descriptions of who you actually are. While they filtered their photos to hide their flaws, you posted images that showed your real self. While they told dates what they thought they wanted to hear, you shared your authentic thoughts and feelings. This approach filtered out the wrong people before you wasted time on them. Your authenticity in romantic relationships scared away those who wanted fantasy and attracted those who craved reality. The conversations on first dates weren't about impressing each other, but about discovering compatibility. You didn't perform the role of ideal partner. You revealed the truth of who you are. This honesty eliminated the need for relationship games and manipulation tactics that others relied on. The professional evolution was equally significant. You stopped trying to fit into company cultures that demanded dishonesty. Instead, you sought organizations that valued truth-telling and authentic leadership. You refused positions that required you to compromise your integrity. You built a career around your authenticity rather than despite it. This alignment brought opportunities that perfectly matched your values and skills. Your ability to see through facades has sharpened into spiritual discernment. You can now spot authenticity from across a room. You can sense when someone is ready to grow versus when they're committed to staying small. You can tell the difference between someone asking for help and someone asking for enablement. This discernment protects your energy and focuses your impact. The social media landscape became a testing ground for your evolved authenticity. While others posted highlight reels and humble brags, you shared real struggles and genuine victories. While they sought likes and follows, you aimed for meaningful connections. While they performed happiness, you expressed honest emotions. This approach built a community of people who valued substance over surface. Your response to criticism evolved from defensiveness to curiosity. When someone accused you of being too direct, you thanked them for the feedback and considered whether their observation had merit. When they called you intense, you took it as confirmation that your energy was powerful. When they said you were too much, you heard it as evidence that they were too little. Criticism became information rather than attack. The relationships that survived your truth-telling have deepened into soul connections. These people don't just accept your authenticity, they celebrate it. They don't just tolerate your intensity, they're strengthened by it. They don't just understand your purpose, they support it. Together you're creating a community of conscious people committed to truth and growth. Your influence has expanded beyond personal relationships into professional impact and social change. Organizations seek your input because they know you'll tell the truth. Communities value your participation because you elevate the conversation. Movements benefit from your involvement because you keep them anchored in authenticity rather than allowing them to drift into pretense. Here you are, chosen one. You began this journey feeling different, isolated, too real for a fake world. But now you understand that your difference is your gift, your isolation was your preparation, and your realness is exactly what this world needs. The very qualities that once made you feel like an outsider have revealed you to be a spiritual insider, someone who understands how reality actually works. The Obsidian Inner Order is a sanctuary for those who have walked difficult paths and emerged with wisdom others can't see. We understand that some experiences exist outside the boundaries of what most people consider possible or acceptable to discuss. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces sharing real stories without judgment. There's space here for the experiences you've carried in silence, the patterns you've noticed that others dismiss, the intuitive knowledge you've gained through your journey. We don't just listen, we understand. When you're struggling to make sense of your experiences, when you feel gaslit by a world that refuses to acknowledge your reality, you can return to our recorded calls and remember that your perception is valid. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, where your reality is honored and your voice is heard. Link in description. The cosmic design is now clear. Every moment of rejection was protection from energy that would have diluted your frequency. Every period of loneliness was preparation for the relationships that would truly matter. Every person who couldn't handle your truth was making room for those who would celebrate it. What seemed like punishment was actually preparation for your purpose. Your childhood questions that made adults uncomfortable were prophecies of the truth-telling role you'd embrace as an adult. The playground observations that isolated you from superficial friendships were training for the spiritual discernment you'd need to navigate life authentically. The family gatherings where your presence disrupted comfortable lies were rehearsals for the larger stages where your authenticity would challenge systemic deceptions. The professional exclusions that seemed like career setbacks were actually course corrections toward work that aligns with your values. The romantic relationships that couldn't survive your honesty were clearing space for love based on truth rather than illusion. The social circles that found you too intense were making room for communities that would appreciate your depth. Your authenticity isn't a burden to be managed, it's a superpower to be deployed. Your truth-telling isn't a flaw to be fixed, it's a gift to be shared. Your intensity isn't something to apologize for, it's something to be proud of. You're not too much, you're exactly enough for the purpose you came here to fulfill. The mirror effect that once felt like a curse is actually your greatest blessing. Every person who sees their reflection in your authenticity gets an opportunity to choose growth over comfort, truth over lies, reality over illusion. You're not responsible for their choice, but you're responsible for providing the opportunity. That's what chosen ones do. We hold up mirrors and let people decide what they want to see. The ripple effects of your authenticity will continue long after you're gone. The courage you inspired in one person will inspire courage in others. The truth you spoke in one moment will echo through generations. The standard you set by refusing to compromise will give others permission to live uncompromisingly. Your influence extends far beyond what you can see or measure. The people who can't handle your presence aren't your people. The situations that can't accommodate your truth aren't your situations. The environments that can't appreciate your authenticity aren't your environments. You weren't meant to fit in everywhere. You were meant to stand out where it matters. Your journey has come full circle. Often, you started as someone who naturally couldn't fake it, and you've evolved into someone who consciously won't fake it. You began as a person who accidentally disturbed the fake, and you've become a force that intentionally awakens the real. Your authenticity has transformed from personal characteristic into cosmic assignment. The loneliness that shaped you has become the strength that sustains you. The rejection that wounded you has become the protection that guides you. The intensity that isolated you has become the power that transforms others. Every challenge was curriculum in the school of authenticity, preparing you for the advanced course of conscious living. The world tried to convince you that you were too real, too intense, too much. But the truth is, the world wasn't real enough, intense enough, or big enough for what you bring. You don't need to dim your light to make others comfortable. You need to shine brighter to help others see that they can shine too. The elevator moments, the family dinners, the workplace confrontations, the social gatherings where your presence changed everything. These weren't accidents or inconveniences, they were assignments. Each moment when your authenticity disrupted someone's comfortable lie was a moment when truth had a chance to break through. Each uncomfortable silence your honesty created was space for authentic conversation to emerge. Stand in your truth, chosen one. Embrace your authenticity. Own your intensity. You're not here to be like everyone else. You're here to show everyone else what they could become if they chose courage over comfort, truth over lies, authenticity over approval. Your presence is a gift to this world, even when the world doesn't recognize it yet. The cosmic joke is complete. What the world criticized you for is exactly what the world needs. Your refusal to be fake in a fake world makes you the most real person in any room. Your inability to tolerate lies in a world built on lies makes you a force for truth. Your unwillingness to dim your light in a world of dimmed lights makes you a beacon for those ready to shine. Keep being too real for them. Keep making them uncomfortable with your truth. Keep shining your light in their darkness. This is your divine assignment, and you're fulfilling it perfectly. The world needs what you bring, whether it knows it or not, and the people who are ready for truth will find you, just as you've found your way to your purpose. You are chosen because you choose truth. You are authentic because authenticity chose you. You are powerful because you refuse to pretend to be powerless. This is your time. This is your purpose. This is your gift to the world. The circle is complete, but the spiral continues upward. Your authenticity has become a force of nature, and nature always finds a way to thrive.